Hi, I'm Dave Cox, I'm the producer of the Castlevania Lords of Shadow series, and you're watching Eurogamer.
After centuries of sleep, of nothingness, I have returned. I have no memory of how I got here, or who I am. Yet something comes back to me.
Greetings Gamerinos, Ian from Eurogamer here. Now, were you a fan of 2010's awesome action-adventure game Castlevania Lords of Shadow? You were? Well, that's good then, because this exclusive video interview with Dave Cox from Konami about the sequel, which is imaginatively titled Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, will be right up your coffin-filled street. So Dave, what's the deal with Sealos 2?
This game takes place almost immediately after the end of the first game. If you remember the end of the first game, we had the epilogue that showed Dracula awakening in present day and Zobek making him an offer to end his immortal life. In Lords of Shadow 2, Dracula's essentially going to take him up on that offer. And we know that Satan's coming back to the Earth and Zobek needs help in order to defeat Satan, and that Dracula was the only one who defeated Satan in the past. But in order to do that, Dracula needs to reacquire all of his old powers of old. So in the game, what you do is you explore the modern city, you explore the castle, looking for your powers that you had in the past and trying to reacquaint them, and in order to be able to take on Satan at the end of the game. It's set in present day, but it takes place in one night, so that the player has certain places that he needs to go very, very quickly within a certain amount of time in order to get things done. So essentially he faces enemies and he faces characters that he's met in his past, but in modern times. So it's like the spirits and the shades of his past are coming to haunt him and trying to save his soul, if you like. And the castle itself is a character in this game, and the castle wants to stop Dracula from achieving his goals. So it's something that we've sort of crammed into this one night, because we wanted players to kind of experience the tenseness and the anxiety of trying to do these achievements in time.
You've added a free camera for Lords of Shadow 2. Why have you done this, and what are the benefits for the player?
I think we wanted to have a free camera because we felt that the other game, that the exploration aspect of it was weak. We very much focused on a very linear design in Castlevania Lords of Shadow, where you went from level to level, stage to stage, and you're constantly moving forward. And having a fixed camera is not friendly to exploration. So we decided very early on in the design stage of Lords of Shadow 2 that we wanted to really beef up the exploration aspect. We wanted to give players a reason to go back and make them feel like they were exploring a world rather than going level by level. And we felt that the fixed camera wasn't going to help us do that. So we developed the camera system to allow players to look around and look up and look down and then see areas. I can go to that area, I can re-explore that area. And I think it makes the game a lot richer. It kind of stops it from being just a hack and slash and make it more into an adventure game, which I think is something that players will really enjoy with this title than the previous one.
Dracula has some new powers and weapons for this adventure. Can you talk about a few of them?
Dracula has an item called the Shadow Whip, which is a kind of a parody, if you like, of the combat cross that he had in the original game. But he's also got the Void Sword and the Chaos Claws, and these are two additional weapons that we've added to his repertoire, if you like. The Void Sword allows Dracula to recoup health from enemies, and the Chaos Claws allows Dracula to break enemies' defences. And both of those weapons now have their own combo trees, which we didn't have in the previous game. In the previous game, you had the combat cross that had its set of combos, and then you had light and shadow magic supporting that. But this time, we have your own set of combos for those particular weapons, which adds a whole new sort of layer of complexity to the combat. On top of that, we've added a system called the Mastery System, and the Mastery System essentially means that when you buy a combo, say for the Void Sword for argument's sake, when you use that combo over and over again, you fill up a gauge, and as that gauge gets filled to the top, that mastery can then be allocated to that weapon to upgrade it, to level it up. Why do we do this? Well, we found that with hack and slash games, people tend to sort of hammer the square button, or they tend to just use 2 or 3 combos that they feel comfortable with and play the whole game like that. But we wanted the players to use all of the combos that we give them, and we give them a reason to use those combos by using the Mastery System, because if they don't use the Mastery System, they just stick to 1 or 2 combos, that weapon that they're using isn't going to get upgraded. It's going to stay at that level, and then obviously as the game gets progressively more difficult and they meet tougher and tougher enemies, they're going to find that they're going to struggle. So we kind of force the player to use the abilities we give them. And of course the focus system that we had in the previous game makes a return, and again that is rewarding players by playing well, that they're able to use their Void Sword and their Chaos Claws. If they don't play well, they don't get access to those weapons. So it's a kind of very deep strategic combat system in Lords of Shadow that I think gives it a kind of unique take in the hack and slash genre.
There are also certain bosses you can defeat who then give you their powers, Mega Man style, aren't there?
There are certain bosses in the game have certain abilities. So, for example, in the demo that we've been showing today, this enemy has a freeze ability, and when you defeat that enemy, you can actually take on that freeze ability, and that's useful in that you can use it in combat by freezing the other enemies, especially when you've got multiple enemies coming towards you. You can freeze one, deal damage to the other, but it also helps in exploration. So, for example, in the demo that we showed, you have a waterfall which you can freeze, which allows you to climb up and reach a whole new area of the castle that you couldn't before. And it's these abilities that we wanted to give Dracula that allow him to become more powerful in terms of fighting, but also allow him to reach areas of the castle that he couldn't reach before, make him a more powerful person, make him a more powerful, more interesting character. We have relics as well, which is something that you saw there, which are kind of temporary boosts to his abilities. You had a relic that allows you a temporary boost in health, which is very useful in combat. So if you're running a short on health, you can use this ability straight away, and it's an insta ability. And there's other items and abilities that reward the player for exploring. So the mist ability, for example, will allow Dracula to reach other areas through the castle that are blocked off by gratings and things like that. So what I would say is that this game has a really deep, really cool combat system, but it's also got much more to it. It's much more of an adventure game this time around, much more exploration, much more feeling that you're belonging to a world, and much more customization for your character in terms of what you can do with the character and how you want to play.
It definitely sounds like you're embracing the old school Castlevania exploration elements with this one.
I think that was an element that our fan base said that they wanted to see improved in this game. We got a lot of fan feedback after Lords of Shadow. Yeah, we love the combat system, it's really cool, but you created this amazing world, but with the fixed camera I didn't feel I could explore it. So we pretty much early on decided, okay, rather than bang out a sequel after 1 year and kind of cash in on the success, we thought, let's start again, let's really improve the things that we didn't get right, let's build upon the things we did get right and trying to make a really better game overall.
Another new addition to the game is the on-screen map, and from what I've seen we're going to need it because the game world looks huge.
We don't really know how to make short games. That's one of the things at Mercury Steam that I think that they're one of their weaknesses, if you like, but also one of their strengths. And the map is constantly shown on screen, so you know where you've got to go. And as you explore the world, you start off in a kind of very linear way with the story explaining it, but as you explore the world and it grows organically, you start to realise, hey, I don't need to follow the story if I don't want to. I can go and explore, I can go and look at things, I can just admire the scenery if I want. We wanted to give players that kind of freedom. And the map, because the world is so huge, we had to give players that map in order to know where they're going to go and where they can go. And on top of that, we give players a medallion called the Wolf Medallion, which allows them to transport from the castle into the city and vice versa. So they don't have to trek across huge swathes of land. They can teleport to specific areas to speed up their progress through the game if they want to.
Weirdly, right after finishing that answer, Dave let out a creepy cackle and threw down a homemade smoke bomb. Once the smoke had cleared, he was nowhere to be seen, but I could have sworn I saw a bat flying away out of the corner of my eye. Spooky. Thanks for watching, Dracula fans. Make sure you give us a subscribe by clicking on the on-screen annotation if you haven't done already. We've got more exclusive interviews, early gameplay previews and interactive live streams than you could shake a pointy vampire-piercing steak at. And they all feature on this channel daily. Except for weekends. I don't get paid to work on the weekends. Bye!
I am the Prince of Darkness. That is my vengeance. All shall come to fear me.